Hi everyone, it's Shade. Welcome back to our video updates. Today I wanted to talk a little bit more about the forbearance arrangements that are available to homeowners out there during this COVID-19 outbreak. And in March, I did a video on the moratoria that was put in place by Congress that forces lenders that have government-backed mortgages to stop all foreclosures in the meantime until May 17th, 2020, and also to stop all evictions. And that part of that order also asked them to provide forbearance uh, agreements to any borrower that would simply ask for it, as far as the borrower has a single family home. There are some provisions for multifamily unit homes as well, and those are a little bit different, but they're also in that CARES Act that was passed in March of 2020. Now, just to give you a little bit more detail about how the forbearance works, well, there are two parts to that, because the first part is just a moratorium that flat out says no foreclosures must take place, no evictions must take place for now. I do think that that part will be extended beyond May 17th because the outbreak is not fully under control as of now. And the second part basically says if the borrower can attest to the fact that the borrower has suffered financial hardship due to the COVID-19 situation, then the lender must give them a forbearance arrangement. So you don't have to send in bank statements, you don't have to send in pay stubs, you don't have to fill out any lengthy forms to ask for this particular forbearance, as long as you have a government-backed mortgage. So what are the government-backed mortgages? They fall into five main categories: the Fannie Mae loans, the Freddie Mac loans, the VA loans or VA-backed loans, and then the FHA loans, which are from HUD, Housing and Urban Development, and the USDA loans, which are from the United States Department of Agriculture. And those are few, that those last ones, they're a very small portion of the loan population. Majority of people have either the Freddie Mac, the Fannie Mae, FHA, or VA loans, and that will be 2/3, I think, of the United States. Now, for the 1/3 of people that don't have any of these loans, I'll still talk a little bit about what's available to you. So for those people that have those loans or are not sure which ones they have, if you want to know whether you have a Freddie Mac loan, you just go on their website, www.freddieMac.com/loan lookup, and it will tell you whether you have a loan that's held by Freddie Mac. If you're not sure whether you have a Fannie Mae loan, you can also go on FannieMae.com/loan lookup and see whether your loan is a Fannie Mae loan. If you don't know if you have a VA loan, you can find out from the VA's website by contacting them directly, or you can also look at your closing documents. If you find a document called the deed of trust, which is also filed with the county that you're in if you're in Texas, but definitely in all the other states as well. It's called a deed of trust here in Texas, and it would show you, usually on a rider, which is like an attachment to that document, it will show you a rider that says VA guaranteed loan rider, or in the section that talks about transfer of interest, it would mention that the VA guarantees the loan. Sometimes on the very bottom, on the footer, you might see something that says modified for VA. On the very bottom, it could be a form that says Freddie Mac form 1058, and then it will say modified for the VA. So you'll see that on there, and that'll tell you that it's a VA loan. And if you're not quite sure whether you have an FHA loan, it's similar. You look at the deed of trust, and at the very top it will say FHA loan number or FHA number, and on the very bottom of the document on the footer, it also would typically say FHA. So that should help you to make that determination. For the USDA loans, they're similar. They're not as many as I said, so look on their website to see if you can find out if you have a USDA loan, or you can call over there to see what they can tell you. So those are the main things to keep in mind. For the forbearance period, the CARES Act, that section 4022, does say that the lender must give you a forbearance agreement, like I said, and the CARES access that they must give you up to 180 days when you ask for forbearance. So it means that you can ask for 2 months, you can ask for 3 months, you can ask for 6 months, but they should give you up to 6 months if you demand it. And at the end of that 6-month period, if you need an extension, you can ask for an extension and they must give you an extension. So the total period of time covered by that CARES Act is 360 days for the government-backed mortgages. So those are the options that are out there. At the end of the forbearance, what happens? You can then ask for a loss mitigation option or loan modification, things like that. You can start resuming your regular mortgage payments if you're able to, and ask for a deferment of that period of time that you missed so that it extends the term of your mortgage. Or you can enter into a repayment plan that adds the missed payments on top of your regular mortgage payments, but little by little. So those are the different things that are available out there. The government doesn't quite say when they must contact you or whether the lenders must contact you, but all of them, they have guidelines pretty much saying that they will contact you 30 days before the end of your forbearance period to ask you, what kind of option you would like. So you ask for that proactively. If you don't hear back from the servicer, the lender, and you feel like your forbearance period is about to end. So ask for that, ask for an extension if needed. Everything is simplified now. It doesn't have to be with a ton of supporting documentation at all. So those are the things that I'm noticing, and that would answer those questions. And the only other types of loans that would be government-backed that are not very obvious are the reverse mortgages. Most of them are backed by the government, and sometimes they're not called reverse mortgages on your loan documents. They might call it the home equity conversion mortgage. So just be on the lookout for that. As long as you can figure out whether it's a reverse mortgage, most likely you are covered in that 2/3 of the population. The other thing to keep in mind is that some multi-family units are also covered. So you can look into the requirements for those. For the 1/3 of the population that doesn't have a government-backed mortgage, then what do you do then? Well, you could still apply for the forbearance programs, as I said in my previous video, because a lot of states have in place some sort of executive order asking the lenders to stop with foreclosures in the meantime. If you're not sure what's available, you have to reach out to the lender and apply for something. And if you don't need it, don't do it, because the payments are just waiting for you in the future, and it's better to take care of debt now if you're able to. And so don't take on the forbearance agreement just because it's there. Don't accept it just because it's available. The other thing to keep in mind is that even if your state has not put in place an executive order, or you're not sure what's in place, the federal government also has a provision called the Regulation X, Reg X. It's under the RESPA, which is the Real Estate Settlement Procedures Act. And that allows you to ask for loss mitigation, and it requires the servicer for the lender to work with you and give you different options. And they're not allowed to do any foreclosure until a borrower is 120 days behind in their mortgage payments anyway. So keep that in mind if you're having problems with the payments and you're not sure yet what's available to you. So those are the things that I wanted to share. If you have questions about what type of loan you have, or questions about what type of loss mitigation or help is available, you might be best off speaking to a local lawyer in your state. I'm in Texas, so if you have questions about the Texas related things or federal backed mortgages, then you can definitely contact my office. You can drop us a note on the website or call my office directly. And this is what I wanted to bring you today. I'm working on something for the auto finance industry, and also something about the new mortgage requirements and some of the changes that are more lenient in favor of the borrower, and some of the changes that are more strict. So I'll be bringing that in the next few weeks. So hang in there, and hopefully everything turns around for all of us soon enough. And I'll be talking to you next time. Thanks for watching.